regulating non-point source pollution, why some very distinguished gentlemen look on, paying attention as they should. We've got a middle-aged hatchery all of a sudden. And not only did that take the cake this year, but it was also coinciding with the Goodbye Chums event, where you can fulfill your bucket list and let go salmon fry to Kanaka Creek. That's coming up again on the 27th of April from 11 to 2 up at Bell Irving, Kanaka Creek Watershed Stewardship Center. It's an event to not miss. At the same time, we're sending off our chum salmon at 240th Street down on Lower Kanaka Creek with a class from Tuscanela, and another salmonas in the class from fry release up at the Stewardship Center. So these classes start in the fall. They have an introductory session. They grab the eggs in January, they raise them and release them. So it's almost like a year-long process. That little number just popped up at the bottom left is our program attendance for the year. We had an off year with COVID, and what else was new? We've jumped back into the area of 5,000 a year. So you're in pretty rarefied air, if you can say that. There is an ecological restoration project, one of several. That's Jerry Voss in the hat. He's been working with us for 1,000,000 years. And what happens is a house in the park will get demolished. The site will be rehabbed back to nature, and plants that support wildlife, particularly black bears, are put in there to make a smorgasbord for them, keep them happy there in their homes, so they're less tempted to go into neighborhoods. And it's so cool. There's Holly Arnson over to the right. She comes to a lot of our events and our work parties and provides some music. Now, I always think the best way to grade your habitat project is have a look and see how your target species is responding. Having those 2 northern red-legged frogs there, I think we get a passing grade. It's really cool to see them. That's in our pond habitat. This is not in our pond habitat. This is somewhere on Lower Kanaka Creek. You've got Filbert at the top of the screen and Stella down below. I'm not going to mention what happened next. You probably got a pretty good idea. But just to mention, we're continuing to work really hard educating students and the public at large about how to coexist with these beautiful animals. The park is their home. We want them to be happy there, and we want to minimize food attractants throughout the community and let people know what to do if you're out walking, and that happens. And that's a lot closer than it looks. I've got a pretty powerful zoom lens. Okay, summertime and another day camp at the center. In this case, we're assessing the aquatic invertebrates in our pond habitat and using them as stream health indicators. So you can catch these things, you can look at it under a microscope, and the answers you find generate more questions that generate more answers, and that keeps you going. This is happening more and more. Climate's changing. We're seeing so many things. We didn't have to do that break glass in case of emergency thing at all, but Mother Nature doesn't know if she's coming or going. So we're really chasing the game here as everyone else is and trying to keep up as best as we can. This summer is looking kind of a little nerve-wracking with the snowpack, and don't touch that dial. Roy Teo is our research technician, and there he is in the fall with another class with Jerry doing a site down near 110th Avenue. And the results we're getting, it's just amazing with these restoration sites. It's a really good way to get these kids and get them in touch with the land. They'll never forget that association that will last is forever. Fall brings the chum salmon. Now, have a look at the one right there in the middle. I'm not sure if you can see. His mouth is wide open in chum salmon language, and you get interpretation when you get me. No way around it. That means, hey, guys, I'm the sheriff in town. Get out of my way. Get away from that girl. You're getting bitten. And you got a sockeye of all things on the 240th fence. Chances are he took a wrong left turn at Albuquerque, wound up on the fence. Probably was intending to go to Weaver or Harrison. Not too unusual. What is usual is the return of the salmon event, the Maple Ridge Fall Classic. Darren McLean is our manager. There he is at the 9 o'clock position in the photo. Hundreds of people take part in that tradition and the 2 Sundays that follow. As we follow the salmon, and we've got Alex with a female chum who's about to be famous. She's getting photographed. So why not follow it up with a Halloween afternoon fish dissection with students from SRT as Maddie tries her hand with a male chum salmon. And the community mural project continues to tell the story that's been told and retold of the land and the water and all the things that call it home for the last 9,000 years. Now, sooner or later, you knew you were going to see these guys. This is the District 42 Outdoor School helping with another restoration project this past November up at the Stewardship Center. That takes us to an artificial spawn, 2 buckets of pink eggs, 2 little containers of milk right below. Add the milk to the eggs, add a little water, they come to life. Into the incubators they go and wait for spring. Now, there's more to it than that, but that's pretty much the gist. As we go to our December open house, there's Ken Williams teaching the theme of winter wonders. And I believe that takes us to our little flotilla, and they take us to the checkered flag. So that will do it, unless there's comments or questions.
Dare I say, you still have 2 minutes left, but that's okay. We're going to use that up for you now. Listen, I want to thank you for your presentation today, but also for all the work that Keeps has been doing over the years, introducing wildlife to new generations and educating that generation on what wildlife is all about. As a Montreal boy, fish and worms and was never my thing, but I remember many times going out to Keeps and Bell Hatchery and learning about what you do there and the impact that wildlife has in our community. So you're doing a fabulous job, especially your presentation style. I feel like I'm in school right now. You know, what's interesting is that it's not only you're teaching the children, but now you're at a point where those children have grown up and have their own children. Plus, we're getting a whole new group of people moving to Maple Ridge who don't know anything about the environment. So it's a great service to have here, and I just want to congratulate you on that. I'll open up if any councillor has a question or comment. Yeah, Councillor Carreras.
Not so much a question, but a comment. Just echoing what the mayor said. Thank you very much for coming. It's always a joy to see so many children learning and enjoying the outdoors. And we live off 240th, and quite often, I mean, we walk Kanaka Creek all the time, all the way down to Fraser River and back. And it's not uncommon for us to see you guys down there with a classroom full of children. And I got to tell you, it warms my heart to see all the children out there and just engaged and learning. And I really appreciate all of the work that you're doing in educating our younger leaders in the community. I just want to, bug in for your April 27th Goodbye Chum, it's called Goodbye Chum. I took my 50-year-old husband and my 23-year-old son to it last year, and they were having way more fun than like the 5- and 6-year-olds there. So don't think that if you're in your 50s or 60s or 80s that you can't go and release fry because it's a chum, because it's actually a ton of fun. So that was a great event, and actually the welcome home one too. I remember in 2022, the welcome home, we were there and the salmon were coming, and I know you keep an eye on the bears because the bears are all in that area. And the bear was across the street, and you're just sitting there. It's like, it's okay. It's across the river. We're all good. And then the minute he got in the river, we're like, okay, everybody, you got to evacuate. The bear's coming at us. And the bear just like put his face down, got a salmon, had his head up with the salmon just in his mouth. And it was just this beautiful, iconic BC moment, and everybody was like, where's their picture? It was so beautiful to see that right in our home yard, and it's important to maintain that environment for our salmon and our bears. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to continue on with the comments. I always enjoy your presentations every year. I say the same thing. Your passion and your dedication is absolutely amazing. Your board members and the volunteers really do make this organization what it is. And you post on Facebook all the time, all the photos, all of the information. I see you all over the place on your bike. You're always around. And the one thing that's always the same is your passion. And I really appreciate all of the work that you and your board members do to make sure that, as was said, everyone knows the importance of cohabitating. And, we have to respect that that the animals were there first, the fish, and that we need to know how to work in around them and not be afraid and just educate ourselves. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ross, for the wonderful presentation. I echo the comments around the table about the stellar work that you do. That's second to none, and luckily it's in our community. So thank you for doing that. And not just to you, but to the board, the staff members, and of course, your Metro Vancouver partners that have done a really good job of bringing about a lot of leverage for your organization. And I'm the lucky one who gets to be your council liaison and gets to interact with not only yourself, but the wonderful board that we have around the table. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and please keep it up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, thank you once again. We'll definitely make our way out there saying hello to the chum or goodbye this time.
It's goodbye time on the 27th of April.
Goodbye time. Okay, we'll definitely be out there. Thank you again. And thank you to Simon and for being here today. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to move on to our consent agenda. We have two items on there. The 7.1 disbursements for the month ended January 31st, 2024, and 7.2 disbursements for the month ended February 29th, 2024. Can I get a motion to move this item? Moved by Councillor Duick, seconded by Councillor Schiller. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, motion is carried unanimously. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
Next item up is item 9.1. This is application 2019-055-RZ for the address located at 11795 and 11839 267th Street. This is Maple Ridge Official Community Plan Amending Bylaw number 7834-2022 and Maple Ridge Zone Amending Bylaw number 7539-2019. And this is to permit a future subdivision of approximately 15 single-family lots. And these bylaws are before you this evening for third reading.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to move this item? Moved by Councillor Duick, seconded by Councillor Carreras. Any comments or questions on this item? Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Mayor Remy. I will be supporting this, and I just actually wanted to take a moment to just apologize to the applicants. The last time this came before council, I wasn't as dialed in as I should have been, and that was sort of because of my own poor record keeping and just the timing of it. So I'm sorry for any, stress or anxiety that might have caused. All indications are that this would have passed, the last time it came around, and there was just a technicality that brought it forward. So I don't see any reason to delay it any further. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, please, Madam Clerk.
The next item is item 9.2. This is file 2023-373RZ for units 102, 104, 106, and 116 at 22633 Selkirk Avenue. And this is Maple Ridge Zone Amending Bylaw number 7982-2024. This is to allow an accessory pharmacy use in a proposed new medical clinic / pharmacy in phase 4 of the Brickwater building. And this item is for third reading before you.
Excellent. Can I get a motion to move this item, please? Moved by Councillor Schiller, seconded.
Sorry, can we just bring up the resolution? Bear with me for one moment.
Good.
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Schiller, seconded by Councillor Youssef. Any comments or questions? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Duick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As somebody that actually proposed the motion that created the policy, unfortunately, I can't support this. There's a number of pharmacies within a very short distance already. I appreciate that I see staff have put the restriction of the OAT program, but there's no guarantees in the future that can't change. So, and that's the biggest concern. And we did hear from some of the residents in that building, that there already is one pharmacy there. And I don't see the need for a second one, literally just around the corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Schiller, followed by Councillor Youssef. followed by Councillor Carrera.
Thank you, Mayor Remy. I will be supporting this proposal. I'm actually very excited about the clinic coming to the community. I hear the concerns that are raised that there is a policy and people are making decisions, based on that policy. And that perhaps is a bigger picture to be considered, but with a specific proposal in front of us, it sounds like it's going to bring a lot of benefit to the community. And in my experience, when there's a pharmacy within a clinic, it is mostly to provide just a good level of service to the patients of that clinic specifically. And so I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too will be supporting this proposal as I see it as a much needed service that we have here in our community. The shortage of physicians throughout the province, especially in Maple Ridge, is not lost on me. And to see it coupled with a pharmacy, i.e. a one-stop shop where people can go in, have the diagnosis, get the prescription, get the medication on their way out, and be on their road to healing almost immediately is not a concern for me, especially having heard what we heard at public hearing. The parking is not really an issue because, as was mentioned, if it's not this, it'll be another enterprise that will also require the parking. As for the other pharmacies, I found that to be a little protectionist of them, that the other pharmacies were speaking against this, perceiving that it may take away some of their clientele, when in fact it won't. It may actually supplement their clientele, as from what I've seen within the pharmacist community, is that they do cooperate and collaborate quite often and work with one another. If one is short on a certain device or medication, they will reach out to their neighbor and try to provide it ultimately in service of the patient. So I will certainly be supporting this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carreras.
Thank you. So this wasn't an easy decision that I came to on this one. It was a bit of a back and forth because I do recognize the amount of work and discussion and research and thought that went into the bylaw or policy that was proposed in the last term. And I think it's an important policy. So, and I don't actually always like doing these one-off pieces. So it was a definite challenge for me. I think the difference for me was the need for doctors in our community and how urgent it is, and especially when they talk about there's a possibility of bringing specialists to our community. And I think that's the really important piece that I focused on. I do want to caution that if the only way that we can have doctors come into our community is supplemented by a pharmacy I hope that's not something that fails, because I think the market will, dictate how many pharmacies we really need in our community. And so I hope that whatever happens with the pharmacy, it doesn't, having doctors in our community doesn't just depend on having a pharmacy attached. That's the piece that sort of is a challenge for me. I will be reluctantly supporting this, and just simply because of the urgent need for medical professionals in our community. But I really do appreciate all the work that went into the policy on this last year. And I really did think about it a lot when making a decision on this, but thank you.
Thank you. We're still on round one before we go back to Councillor Duick. Any final comments? Seeing none, back to you, Councillor Duick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question is, how can we ensure that registration of a restricted covenant is upheld, if that's the case? Because for me, it's about the OAT program, not so much the pharmacy piece. I hear what the doctors were saying, so I could live with that, but I do not want to see this being a drop-in clinic for people for that program. We have enough of them in the downtown core.
So if I recall, the comments that were made previously is the physicians have actually said that in order to get their license to operate, they have to actually check. They will be doing the therapy or they will not. And they've indicated that they will not. So that's taking care of that. And it's kind of hard to answer the second question. If they sell the property,
Exactly.
what happens after that? I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if Mr. McMullen.
Yes, your worship, through the council. So having this condition here of registration or restrictive covenant to prohibit provision of opioid agonist therapy, that's a condition that would be required to be registered in a covenant on title based on our solicitor's review, and that would be registered on title and then adoption of the bylaw. So it would be there for this owner and future owners. And it's like any other covenant, the city can enforce it if necessary if there's a breaking of the covenant.
So if it was sold and a future owner, in order for them to get the business license, they would have to agree to that covenant or ask for it to be removed.
Yes, if a future owner buys a business and operates a pharmacy, they would get, this would be registered on title, that would be provided when they buy the property. And we've talked with our solicitor, and there can be a notation put on the business license, as there often is, about covenants and other city restrictions on the oat therapy.
Okay, so if that is indeed the case, I can support it, but that's the only way I can support it.
Understood. Any final comments? Seeing none, I'll just add my 2 cents. Thank you for your input. I mean, you were here before. There were reasons why it was introduced, and I understand those reasons. I think that when I look at what the intent is right now of having 4 or 5 plus doctors is something that is sorely needed here. And I think it's important that we recognize that they have said that they will not, and that's part of the application process. So I will be supporting that as well. Okay, seeing as how we have no further comments or questions, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, please.
Thank you. Next item on tonight's agenda is item 13, public question period. Participants in public question period are reminded that there should be no discussion of public hearing bylaws which have not yet reached conclusion. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak to council. A second opportunity may be provided once all speakers in the queue have had an opportunity to speak. The total time allotted for public question period is 15 minutes. If you wish to inquire about additional opportunities to address council, please contact the corporate officer.
Thank you.
Sorry. Next page. For members of the public in attendance in council chambers wanting to participate in public question period, please come forward to the microphone. Please state your name and city of residence for the record before beginning and address your comments to the mayor. For members of the public participating electronically, please register as a speaker by raising your hand, turn on your camera, and clearly state your name and city of residence for the record before you begin. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see we have somebody taking us up on our offer. Come on up to the podium, state your name and your place of residence.
Yes, Andy Clevin, 12664 235th Street, Maple Ridge. I'm here tonight to ask Mayor Rumi through to the Mayor's Council at TransLink to help me get some facts as to why Handy Dart has failed to pick up my disabled brother from a care home in Maple Ridge 4 times in the last 4 months. He's had to miss multiple surgeon appointments, scans, x-rays and stuff. And they keep on changing the reason that they give to the care home staff and then the nurses at the care home. It's not acceptable. I had gone up to Lisa Bear's office and they're very helpful, but they couldn't really talk to me because apparently I needed a representation agreement versus just a power of attorney. So we went through a process where we got me a representation agreement with a very thoughtful notary in Maple Ridge who was able to go to the care home. Of course, he couldn't travel to the notary's office. But it makes no sense to me how someone who's totally disabled, he gets lifted in and out of bed and placed in a wheelchair with a hoist. I can't understand why a service that we pay for isn't providing service for him. So I would be more than willing to maybe give some contact info in privates, because I don't want to give out my brother's private information, but we take it for granted that our family and friends and neighbors are going to be serviced by something that we are paying for. And I can probably spit nails right now, but it's not right. I don't want to bring my brother out in public. He has a right to live out his life in a comfortable and caring manner, but there's something wrong here, folks. So if after the meeting I could give my contact information and stuff, I can send some details in. And Lisa Bear's office said the way for me to address this is to go through the mayor and then through the mayor's council and try to get answers. I want something in writing from TransLink or from Handy Dart, why they left my brother on the side of the parking lot at the scare home 4 times in the winter. So.
Okay. Well, on behalf of one of the directors at TransLink, I apologize that this happened. I don't know the particulars. You don't need to bring your brother out, but if you can get in touch with the Claudia over there
After the meeting.
with some contact information and perhaps some details.
Definitely.
Because
Yeah.
what I can do is go back to TransLink and try to pinpoint what may have happened or what I don't really know what happened.
Well, let's say that every time they've come to pick them up, they've had different reasons why they're not taking them.
Mhm.
There was one time they came with a safety person to look and see if the size of his wheelchair was correct or whatever. But nowhere in the system have they asked what my brother's needs are. They've just said no. And they, every time that we do this with Handy Dart, we have to pay for a companion to go with him.
Right.
He doesn't have any money. And yet there's a 3 or 4 hour charge for someone to come out and take him down and get them all ready to go. Like the staff at the care home gets them all set up to go out for a doctor's meeting, et cetera, et cetera. And they just basically slam the door in his face. He has a right to access our healthcare system, yet he can't do it. So anyways,
Okay.
maybe after the meeting, I'll give you some stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate your
Thank you.
comments tonight. And again, apologies. It's frustrating to hear these types of stories.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody online or nobody online? Anybody else in chambers wishes to speak? Seeing none, then we'll officially close public question period. Okay, now moving on to the next item, Mayor and Council verbal reports. Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Schiller. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a lot to report. Just want to briefly wish all those who celebrate Easter a happy Easter this coming weekend, and for the little ones to be able to enjoy our parks. Luckily, the weather will be in their favor, so they can collect their chocolates and maybe burn off some of that energy before going home and destroying their homes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, my understanding is chocolate it might not even be available anymore. So thank you for that. There's going to be a shortage of chocolate. No good for you. Councillor, thank you very much for your words. Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Mayor Remy. I attended a ARMS board meeting recently. They have their annual general meeting coming up on May 2nd, and everyone is welcome to attend. And ARMS is, of course, focused right now on the out-migration of the smolts from Alouette Lake and just ensuring that all the conditions are right for the smolts to be on their way. And that should happen in mid-April. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carreras.
Thank you very much. Just a quick update on the Maple Ridge Pit Meadows Arts Council, the ACT. We had a meeting yesterday. feels like forever ago, but it was just 24 hours ago. Just a couple of things to note. So they're firming up their 2024-2025 season. I'm not allowed to share anything, but it looks like it's going to be another amazing season. So wait till it's announced and check it out and buy your tickets early because a lot of the great ones do sell out. The act is down to their last few performances, and the season ends on April 28th with a performance at 3 p.m. by is it Viano? Viano? Yes, Viano, which is a quartet and a world-renowned quartet that's supposed to be pretty spectacular. So go with a parent, a child, a partner, a friend, make a day of it, go grab dinner afterwards. But I did look and there are still tickets for that one. So that one's a really great one to check out. Also, the ACT Art Gallery has an exhibition called, I'm just making sure I get it right, Walking Ground, which apparently is doing really, really well. And it's based on Musqueam, Two-Spirit Musqueam, Simcoe, Silix artists that are based in Maple Ridge. So I've heard a lot of great things about that. And then one last thing to mark your calendars for and look forward to, the 20th anniversary, which the ACT is coming up to this next year, has a big window piece of art that they've been working on with some artists for the last little while, and that's coming up in June, and it'll be a great event to go celebrate 20 years of the ACT, and also the artists that are creating it. And I've seen sort of what it's going to look like, and it's going to be absolutely stunning in the windows of the ACT. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments, I will jump in with mine. Spring break, yay. A while back, I received an invitation to attend the Taiwan Smart City Conference and Expo. That was back in December. Thought a lot about it. Thought it would be a good opportunity to go and visit and see what was going on there. And so I went last week. I was invited to do a presentation on one day, talking about what we're doing here for climate action, along with other mayors across the world who are doing that. I participated in some panels, so answered some questions and got into a good discussion. Had productive meetings with the Taipei Economic Development Office. A lot of interest in folks wanting to do business with Canada. So it was good to be able to represent on that part. Met with the Import Exporters Group, which has 6,500 members, of which some of them are manufacturers. We're hoping to set a delegation that will come to visit us here in September. Also, one of the reasons I went is, as we know, we had $1 billion battery plant investment. Well, their head office is in Taiwan, and I wanted to go and tour their office. So that was very, very good to see. There were 32 countries that came and about 150 municipalities. Aside from the presentation, the expo, what they were showing, apps and tech on how that's able to help with developing green technology, helping us get better at what we do. In some cases, we're ahead of everybody else. In some cases, we're behind everybody else. But we all had one thing in common there, is that it was amazing to see the cities that were all thinking the way we're thinking. That, whether you believe in climate change or not, the world is at a point where there's so much pollution that's being created that we can mitigate those sort of things. And I'll tell you, the stuff I saw was amazing. And I'll share one was a startup group that is developing drone technology to fly above continuously and spot out forest fires before they become a problem. And obviously, we're all having forest fire problem, not just in Canada, but across the world. So that was an interesting thing. So we've got contacts. I want to see what's going to happen with that one. And the last thing I'll share with you is one excellent. We went to what they call Grandpa Mango Tree Farm. It's one giant mango tree. They didn't want to tear down the tree. So what they did was, using technology, they created a demonstration building where every level you had wind coming through the way it was designed, and they built this beautiful building around the mango tree. And when I think about some of the challenges we have here, and we are developing. That's a great example of maybe we don't have to cut down all of our trees. So, but it was very interesting to see how they were doing that. So it was exciting to be there. And I do feel the need to say that this trip did not cost the city a dime. Because I already saw that on Facebook. I've paid for this trip out of myself because I thought it was out of my pocket, because I thought it was important to be there. And I'm glad that I went. It was a great experience and made a lot of connections with people. So looking forward to continuing to share with staff some of the things that I found over there. So that was my eventful week. And I traveled back in time, coming back there, left Monday, came back Sunday. That's all I have, folks. And seeing how we have no other further business,